the core number of neurons that you need to measure scales with the complexity of the task, and by analogy, likely complexity of the stimuli. So we've been talking about reaching. So actually in their work, they're focused on reaching. And so they describe task complexity with respect to the types of reaches, right? The directions you're reaching, how long those reaches are. And so you can use the nature of those reaches to describe a set of dimensions that would allow you to generate those reaches. And what they find is that when you measure from a population of neurons, you only need to measure that equivalent number of neurons.
Well, I think that's something that neural engineers are very interested in right now is how many, for a given task, how many neurons do we need? Is there a way that we can a priori predict the number of neurons that we'll need in a certain area based on the complexity of the task?
I think we should also be asking whether tasks should be the way we look at this problem.
But task is important. No, you could say that as long as we always do almost the same thing, and neuroscience has this history of taking behaviors and making it so that they're always almost the same. Like in motor science, we know that we have lots of labs doing like monkeys only doing this in 8 different directions, and it's a very popular idea. Then it might give us this false impression that everything is very simple, because in that local area it kind of is. So I think that we do need to worry about task complexity. Not like if we build commercial devices that people will carry in their heads, it's essential for them that it doesn't just work while they do always the same thing, but that it carries over to the rest of their life. And I would certainly hold that my life contains thousands of different tasks. So in a way, do we expect that we need to visit all those tasks to be able to build working devices? And I think that is a very important question.
Maybe if I actually agree with both of you, and I think the way I kind of interpreted what Vikash was saying there was we maybe need to ask the question if it even makes sense to characterize the system using these simple tasks and then expect we can build something that will scale based on our knowledge, that will generalize, based on our knowledge that we obtain from the simple task. So whereas we have, recording technologies now where we might be able to record large volumes of data over long time periods, maybe the right thing to do is scale up the complexity of the behaviors we're recording from so that whatever kind of representations we study, span this large space of a complex system. Put another way, if we keep studying, as Konrad mentioned, this classic task in neuroscience, we call it sender out 8, where a human or a monkey will make movements in 8 different directions. If we keep studying that, will we ever gain enough knowledge to build something that will work across activities of daily living for somebody who's paralyzed? I think probably not.
I think in some ways it's the classic definitions are driven by being task-centric, right? When you're task-centric, there is something you can repeat, right? There's a critical set of variables that need to be repeated across trials of that task. And, as Chethan was saying, we might need to completely move away from tasks. I think we're all kind of suggesting that framework or thinking in that direction. And as soon as you move away from tasks and you're kind of in real, quote unquote, real world behavior, there's very little repeatability, right? I mean, even if I every morning I make coffee in a certain way, I might have my fixed ritual, but the exact environment is different, right? The temperature is different. What's on TV, what's on the radio while I'm making that cup of coffee is going to change, right? There is no repeatability in the real world, right? There's always variation.
What do you think would be the most exciting experimental capabilities to see in the next 5 to 10 years? What do you think would really change your ability to ask kind of new questions?
I think we just want systems that would record every aspect of behavior along with every single neuron. I mean, that's the dream, right? We want all of the data about the entire state of the organism up on a cloud server that we can now run virtual experiments against. Can you make that happen, Matt?